Make a document note. When I transferred schools from COLDSPRINGHARBOR, right around Bill Clinton, whatever, my father got investigated for some blue sky law, BLUESKYLAW. He owned a brokerage business, a small, he had multiple offices, I think 19 offices. That's a 1 and a 9. But he had people working for him, and one of the traders made a trade on a state, under a state that my dad didn't have a license in. And so it got caught up, whatever. My dad got everything, he got sued and he got everything taken away from him. And his license was taken away from him, so he could no longer afford to make money for me and my family. So, being my mom and myself and my dad. That was around, I think, 1992, 93, 94, somewhere around there. So he lost the business. He was paying the mortgage on credit cards, just to keep us there. They had tried to sell the house the year before, and someone offered them like $100,000 more than when he held out to the last minute to move. That was what was going on in the house that I stayed out of, because it was a fucking nightmare to grow up around. So they lost the house. They sold it. They just made enough money to pay off the mortgage and then moved back to my grandfather's house for free. They did some renovations. My grandfather was not doing well at that point. He had Parkinson's disease. So he moved to the above ground, like half in the ground basement, walk-in apartment, and my parents moved on the second floor and redid whatever. And whatever they did back then is what they still live in. They can't afford anything, but whatever. Nothing else changes with them and the story of what the fuck are you all doing elsewhere. While my senior year of high school, I transferred from Cold Spring Harbor High School to St. John's Prep in Astoria. ASTORIA. Was a very big Greek, I thought, community. So I made friends with a Polish girl. Her name was Melissa Ruskowski. Her and I, they said that we looked like sisters. I was like, if you say so. I liked her instantly. She was like my favorite person in the whole entire school. She was dating some guy named Thanasi Gnosis, and Vincent COLLURA was the other guy. He was my Chris Carlson from Cold Spring Harbor or Lloyd Harbor Elementary, like where he sits in front of you because your last name is right. Whatever. I think he sat behind me. Carlson sat in front of me, but whatever. So he's the one who pointed out that I would probably like to know this girl, Melissa, since we looked like sisters. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. Okay, great. So that's how I met Melissa. Melissa introduced me to some girl, Tina, Tina, who was one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. And she had long blonde hair. I hung out with her once, and she had a lot of friends in the neighborhood of wherever she was living in Astoria, because it was confusing. It was a big city, and I was just like, whatever. I was like, I'm never going to get this down pat. I hate this kind of living. So, she had, I don't know, somehow she knew some guy, Peter, who was a local grocer, Grocery. He was from Turkey, I thought, TURKEY. He had, like white blonde hair and ice blue eyes. When he saw me, I don't know, there was like something else going on in the background. I couldn't quite understand what he kept saying, like, you're her. And I'm like, I'm who? Like, what? I was like, I don't understand. And then he wanted to take me to his, where he was living, which was like a walk up, one of like the, I want to say like a brownstone on the inside, but like really run down, walk up tenement apartment in Astoria. There was a lot going on in the building, but he wanted to introduce me to somebody who, because he wanted to have a witness that he found me or saw me or whatever, because I don't know, there's something going on I couldn't understand, and they weren't telling me. So that was that. So I followed him to wherever he lived. Tina said that she knew who he was, and he was safe. I was like, okay. So I walked with him to the house. I walked into the apartment, whatever, and then we walked back to where Tina was. And that was that. I don't know if that has anything to do with the... Here's the thing. Okay, I know that, like, humans have this understanding of what an Ottoman Empire was. Ottoman. I'm supposed to marry Drake. Mandrake. The man. Theeman. As Dracula. Dracula. Got it? I know Americans, like, you get right over your head. Yeah, quiet. But the Otto-Man is a man named Otto. MANNAMEDOTTO. That my life and my advanced race of beings were trying to avoid. Has nothing to do with Muslims, has nothing to do with Turkey, has nothing to do with the Ottoman. In the Holy Roman Empire, it is just the man named Otto, his grandson, which is Ja-Son, J-A, which is the word Ya, and then it's S-O-N, okay? Ya usually means yes, but the grandson, the yes son of the Otto-Man is 9, yet not supposed to happen, ever, in America. D'accord? The way that the word Japan, J-A-P-A-N, do you understand? The J-A for Japan and Ja-Son. Then there's a son, S-O-N, and then there is a P-A-N, meaning the father of the son for the Ja is 9, yet, not supposed to happen. The one with the facially disfigured eyes, no thank you. There's something that went on in accounting and in fucking up the future in star terrestrial territory that, like, you know, like really smart people around the world know about. That happened between Japan, the American called Ja-Son, and the Otto-Man, the man's grandson, Ja-Son, that the Japan people are going to be pushing and promoting as the correct breeding whatever stock, but nothing in America is breedable at in New York. The one that I need, Mandrake, comes from elsewhere. Wherever he comes from, doesn't matter. He's not a Ja-Son, he's not a Japan, and he's not an Ottoman. He is something completely different. And he's under Drusil. D-R-U-C-I-L. Why is it the people at Russian Club, when they flew, like Yeltsin, all the way into my, like, little girl, like, interview, he said, you know, and he says, do you know who the president of Russia is? He says, I think he said he was going to be a prime minister. But I said, and he said, you haven't learned government. And I said, I don't even know. He says, over here, you call them presidents. And I said, well, right, that word I've heard. I said, but I don't, you're a prime minister, so you're a really important church person? And he said, well, he says, right. He says, I'm starting to understand where you have a problem with, not that you have a problem with communicating, but the people around you do. He's like, because, right, in royal territory, they use the word prime minister for the protesters over in England. It's the Cyrillics elsewhere that use the president's system, like Gorbachev and Putin are the presidents. So they're under the Catholic and Holy Roman Empire that I am in charge of as the figurehead. But I'm also in charge of the Crown London, being the protesters, because that's usually where we run all of the problem accounts through. The only thing is I didn't need a English cunt named Elizabeth, Philip, Charles, or any of them who are not Drakes at all. They're not mandrakes, they're not Drakes, they are a problem because they have not acknowledged Millar, Watt, being W-A-T-T, which is also on the electric meter on the side of everybody's home. When you ran lights magically through poles and wires, there is a wattage, and then the electric company reads the spinning meter. Right, I come from the family that was designated Watt, W-A-T-T. It's a principle, it's a science principle. That's who my protest church representatives were, along with others. So, for the Protestant side of royal bloodline, I am a Watt descendant. Way higher, and I'm a Mandrake. So, I'm Mandrake's wife, actually. So, way higher than Elizabeth and your itty-bitty little Chihuahua crown. And I don't understand why you would make this an all-out, drag-out fight and allow this future to occur when I have Holy Roman Empire business to do, and you are like a stumbling block and a hurdle that Japan, the Ottoman Empire, and everything that's not part of Holy Roman White Kingdom part knows about. They were on notice, kind of like on the blocks of the track system. So when Elizabeth fucked up, should she not acknowledge my family, every little step of the way, it's one more step the enemy takes, Elizabeth, because of your poor leadership and inability to make one woman's family brought into the royal partnership where it belongs. So now, who's on the run for Chase Banking? I'm just curious. What insurance agency, what people am I insuring? Because I'm not insuring anything, except for myself and Nicklaus and my kids. None of you have helped me. None of you helped my agenda. You haven't cleaned up America. You've made it fucking worse. You've ignored me completely while I've been here. You've allowed them to take my Iris project. You get that. It's operating system, OS, the operating system. And it's an iris, I-R-I-S. That's the color part of the eye. You're machines. You're a biological machine. Some of you can be turned into weapons. Some of you, we can deteriorate faster than others by other machines. So why, when this is the case, and it's supposed to be the most quiet and confidential project of them all, and the most sacred, why would you leave the only female asset in America when Russia is the one who has my project under Grew Up Right? I'm just curious. So are we blaming Holy Roman Empire in Italy? Are we blaming the London piece of shit Elizabeth in her white crown if she doesn't give a shit about anything? And now she's got friends in Japan and elsewhere that have magical keyboards because you assholes couldn't keep America clean and white. Got some blacks upset. They raised some money. They got some friends elsewhere. They got information they shouldn't have had. Sold it to some other people for more stuff that they shouldn't know about. And like the time just keeps ticking down. And I'm like, I really don't care how many of you have to die for all of this. For these very real punishable crimes. I don't want to be sitting here for the rest of my life. Where the fuck is Nicklaus? He's the only thing I care about. And the rest of you, I can't fucking kill fast enough.